Hello, adventurers. We are live on StreamYard, and I think I am streaming on YouTube and on Twitch. You can follow me on Instagram at Dark Alchemy Ltd. You can follow our forever DM Evanson on Instagram at DM_Evanson. Adventurers Wanted, subscribe today. Trying to grow our channel. So today I'm doing a paint and chat about elementals. And you see over here we have some of our air elementals spinning. These are just freshly 3D printed by the dead professor. And I'm trying to see if I can share a link if anyone wants to join in the stream. It says a referral link, but I want to try to share a regular link. I hit that button, invite guest, copy that, and let's see if I can post a comment. And can I send that? Done. Nobody's watching, so I guess we can. So I'm doing this on my phone. It's a bit of a challenge. Feeling cute, might delete later. This is our pumpkin golem. And I'm just trying to pick out. There's actually a little bit of a skeleton. Skeleton legs. A little too much. I just want to highlight the skeleton areas where I think I'll be able to see the skeleton. I don't like that brush at all. I don't like that brush at all. Switch over to this brush here. And we're just going to try to pick out some of the features of this skeleton. It's too much paint, I can already see. Then I just gently brush that. There's a skeleton inside this pumpkin golem. I did want to try and get this guy just picked out in white, and then I will hit him with a little like tan or bone color. But there's a skeleton inside this pumpkin golem. I guess that's how he's powered. He's made of roots and vines, and he actually has some stone here, and he's got the pumpkin head. He's got some tombstones. So I am getting through the golem here. I cannot. I can't seem to post. Oh, I posted a comment. I don't know if it's right though. Let me see that again. Invite guests. I will copy the link. I'll hit it again. I'll paste it. Hit return. Done. Oh, thanks for watching, guys. I'm trying to post a comment there. Actually, that one works. People can join in on their phones and chat. I have no idea if that'll work. But if anybody's watching and want to try to join in with their phone, I'll see if I can hear them. Will I be able to even hear them? I don't even know. Have my microphone on. If anybody wants to comment that they can hear me, that would be great. Hey, Rob. Thank you. I appreciate that. Watching Dark Alchemy a while. So, Rob, can you hear me? That's my first question. I'm testing out a new system, and I am trying it with on StreamYard on my phone. I'm going to type that too. Can you hear me? Question mark. Return done. Thanks for bearing with me, Rob, watching. Because again, I'm just testing this. I'll probably end up deleting it later. I'm just kind of testing StreamYard. Okay, you can hear me fine. Well, that's a huge help. Thank you for answering that question. Turn it off the stage, and I can post show on stage on my phone. It says I can hear you fine. Thank you, Rob. I do appreciate that. Yeah, so I'm doing a paint and chat. We're doing this pumpkin golem. But I mean, over here, the chat part of the paint and chat, these are air elementals that we just printed up. And I have on the Dungeon Master's Guide, it's actually the monster manual, the current air elemental information. So I will paint and I will chat, and we'll just see where we go from there. Air elementals are primal spirits of wind and storm. They are found in desert mountains, the elemental plane of air, of course, and they have no treasure really. I mean, if they're not going to drop, loot. It's a skeleton inside. I love that. Energetic spirits from the elemental plane of air. Air elementals gather clouds and winds to the ever-changing bodies with indistinct limbs and vague features. Beyond their home planes, these elementals might serve magic users who conjure them, or they might congregate around a nexus of unbridled planular energy, such as wind-scoured mountains, peaks, or endless storms. In battle, air elementals batter enemies with powerful gusts and transform them into whirlwinds that fling their foes away. Air elementals often have distinctive compositions. You can roll, or you can just choose. And they actually have a little chart here in the monster manual. The chart basically says they can be cumulus or citrus clouds. They can be a mixture of vibrant colored gases. They can be pungent, a sour-looking miasma. Shifting clouds or clusters that resemble animals or simple shapes. Sinister features are obscuring masts or swirling storm clouds. Air elementals are large. Like again, those models are pretty nice that my buddy Scott printed up. Air elementals are large, and they have a armor class of 15, initiative of +5. That's actually a pretty decent initiative. Air elementals +5, which means they have a good chance of going before you. Everything else being equal, not a lot of players have a +5 initiative. 90 hit points, and that's the average for the monster manual. It's actually 12d10 plus 24. That's 120 plus 24. 144 maximum hit points for a single air elemental. A speed of 10, not too fast, but they can fly. These guys can fly 90. 90. And they can also hover. So sometimes with flying, you can't also hover, but these guys can fly and hover. That's a pretty big speed. Again, this is that right out of the monster manual. Strength of 14, intelligence of 6, dex of 20, huge dex. They're going to be making those dexterity saves. I got to get some great paint. They make those dexterity saves at a +5 save, con of 14, and a charisma of 6. Bear with me as I grab some contrast gray. Resistances. Resistant to bludgeoning, lightning, piercing, and slashing damage. I don't know. Is that also including magic? It just says resistance. There's magic bypass resistance. I have something to ask the professor tonight. They're immune to poison, immune to thunder, rightfully so, poison and thunder. Immune to exhaustion, and we just found it recently. Being immune to exhaustion usually means you're immune to many charm conditions. It doesn't seem like you would give an immunity to exhaustion to a monster. They're not playing the game. They shouldn't be gaining levels of exhaustion. They're immune to grapple, so you cannot grab and grapple air elemental. I do like that a lot. Grappling, we have an ongoing argument if D&D loves grappling and everything can be grappled, and there's way too much grappling now in Dungeons and Dragons. They're immune to being paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, or unconscious. Can't put them to sleep. Dark vision of 60 feet. So how do they see? Through their magical dark vision. That's pretty good. I'd expect no less. Be kind of cool if they could see through like a storm or something like that, if there's anything obscuring from a storm, but I guess even they might be blocked a little bit. They speak primordial, which is the Orin. They speak Orin, which is the sky language or the air language, right? Each primordial has a kind of a sub language: earth, air, fire, water. So that's pretty cool. They are CR5, so 4 level 5 characters should be able to take one of these guys if it was at max hit points of 144 or so. But how much damage are they putting out? I'm going to slide these guys forward a little bit so I can read. They have a multi-attack, so 2 Thunderous Slam attacks with a +8 to hit and a 10-foot reach. I do like the 10-foot reach. They don't have to be right on top of you. If they're surrounded and somebody's a few feet back, then they'll be able to hit you. They're going to do 14 points of thunder damage, so not even bludgeoning, thunder damage. A lot of stuff does not have resistance to thunder damage. I'm not sure if the barbarians do. I feel like they don't. It's not all damage, so you hit those barbarians hard, and the air elemental is still going to do thunder damage. And that's 2d8 plus 5, so 16 plus 5, 21 maximum points. And we're going to do 14 average. They have a whirlwind attack, which recharges on a 4 to 6, which means after they use it each round on their turn, they're going to roll recharge to see if they can use that attack again. Dragon's breaths have a recharge, usually like a 5 or 6. So 4 to 6 recharge is pretty good. That's a 50-50 chance of recharging. Is there any more? Do you guys see any more stone in here? I have all the stonework here. Maybe a little piece of stone here. I felt like I saw a tombstone hiding somewhere else in the side here. I'm just taking a look. One sec. One sec. I thought I saw another tombstone. Gotta hit that gray over there. Okay, let's talk about the whirlwind attack. It's a strength saving throw, DC 13. So I will attack you, and you will just have to make a strength saving throw. DC 13, one medium, a small creature in the elemental's space, so touching. Failure, 24 hit points damage. That's 4 dice, 10 plus 2, up to 42 of thunder damage. And the target is pushed 20 feet straight away from the element and has the prone condition. If you succeed your saving throw, you're only taking half damage. So that is the air elemental. We're going to switch over to the water elemental, but I have to turn the page. Here is my pumpkin golem so far. Not an elemental, but I do love him. We're going to take these guys off. Ah, man, it's hard to. You haven't played. Okay, Doom Driver says, haven't played much 5e 2024. I'm glad they got the recharge ability from 4e. Yep, that's all. I think that's awesome. I like the 5e Doom Driver. Anybody who's listening, anybody who's watching who likes music, check out Doom Driver's channel. He's got basically heavy metal fantasy music. Rob is awesome. He's influenced by many different genres of music, and he's definitely got the power metal down. So check his channel out for some cool music. I think I like his vampire song the best. That was a pretty good one. Okay, let's move this guy here, and let's try to find water elementals. Let you watch that while I search. The monster manual does not label elementals in the same spot. They put them all over. So water's under W. It's not just under water. And also under water elemental, we have the water weird, which is it's an elemental also, but it's a different type. So these models here could be used as water elementals or water weird. So we can see the water elemental, and then we can see the water weirds. So going back, water elementals are primal spirits of waves and tides. The coast, of course, planula, the elemental plane of water. Swamps and underwater is where they inhabit. They don't normally have any treasure. I'm gonna let this guy dry, and I'm gonna move over to working on the Pumpkin King. I will probably just hit him with some green leaves right now. Oops, right here. I want to do work on some green leaves and then hit him with the vines and stuff. So, talking about the water elementals. Spirits of the elemental plane of water form shapeless liquids into water elements, aqueous beings with the might of surging waves. Water elementals are mutable as liquid, allowing them to crash into foes and seep through narrow cracks. They can crush their foes with limb-like geysers, or they might flood the creature, submerging and drowning foes within their whirling form. Water elementals often appear near nexuses of elemental power, such as an aquatic abyss, a magical spring, or a whirlpool. Water elemental shapes are influenced by liquid bodies in which they form. Choose a role in the table below. Okay, so all elementals have kind of a inspiration on how they form. I'm going to go over to some war paints. Got some oak brown, and I'll do the. Oh, actually, check that. I said I was going to do the grass first. So war paints, green skin. It's an ore color, but makes a good oak leaf. So here's some water elemental body features: chilling or near boiling temperatures. Oh wow! You know, I was out at the national park Yellowstone, and they have a ton of boiling springs there. Can you imagine a elemental coming out of a boiling spring and just burning you? They also have a energetic effervescence, almost like sparkling Zima or any type of bubbly beverage. Muddy, polluted, or crystal clear. So a water elemental might be covered in mud or might be a crystal clear stream. There's some beautiful streams and springs in Florida. So picture a water elemental coming out and just being almost transparent as it punches you with this giant slam attack. Seaweed, tiny fish, or other sea life. So it could look like a watery fish or seaweed or some sort of sea life. Yeah, Zima, I am dating myself. Zima came to mind because it was just like such a nasty thing from so many years ago. Zima was an alcoholic beverage that was a clear malt flavor liquid, and when you're young and there's no alcohol around, you just drink it and you love it. But looking back, it was probably one of the nastiest things I've ever had in my life. So water elementals are large elementals, neutral, a 14 armor class, +2 initiative. So air elementals are a little bit better. They're a little bit better armored or harder to hit and a little bit faster. These guys have 114 hit points average, a little bit more. 12d10 plus 48, so 120 plus 48. So it looks like water elementals are beefier than air. I guess so. You say, flowing water can cut through a mountain. They have a move speed of 30 and a swim of 90. So air elementals had a fly speed of 90. Water elementals have a swim speed of 90. If you are underwater or in the ocean, you have a problem if an elemental is chasing you. Not too much can get away. Yeah, I think even a monk would be hard pressed to get away because they get that bonus move. But I don't know if that applies to a swim speed. Let's say a magic item that let them apply their regular movement to a swim. But that's kind of specific for a pirate campaign or a water-based campaign. I think the Dead Professor printed these up for me. I don't remember printing them. I love pumpkin stuff, and I love Halloween. So I definitely need to put a Halloween one-shot together. I think that's my goal in the next week. The professor's taking over our current campaign, and he's going to write up an adventure for the Silver Fang Society, who just completed their last mission. And then it'll give me some time to focus on some other stuff because doing D&D will take a while. I did a while ago. The professor said he did a while ago. Okay, that is good. I did not know that. Okay, continuing on with the water elemental. I got distracted here. Strength 18, pretty strong. Dex 14, okay. Constitution 18, great. Intelligence 5, Wisdom 10, Charisma 8. So neg 1 to Charisma saves, neg 3 to Intelligence saves. Everything else is kind of average. Resistance to acid and fire. I was surprised that nothing about bludgeoning or slashing or something like that. So just acid and fire. Slashing, bludgeoning, piercing does regular damage. We have Immunities to poison, exhaustion, grapple, paralyzed, petrified, poison, prone, restrained, and unconscious. I feel like that's going to be a kind of a standard list for elementals. A lot of spells will not not affect them just based on those resistances to different charms and sleeps and unconsciousness. It is the CR5, and they speak the primordial language of Aquin, the language of the water. They have the freeze trait. This is a trait. The freeze trait, if the elemental takes cold damage, its speed decreases by 20 till the end of the turn. So you can actually cast a cone of cold or something cold, and it'll freeze the water and slow it down. I don't know if it's chasing you on land, great. If it's chasing you in water, I don't think it really matters. You go from 90 to 70. Does that really even matter? Water form. The element can enter an enemy space and stop there. It can move through a space as narrow as 1 inch without expending extra movement. So I feel like being able to be in the same space as a player is going to play into one of his special abilities. But let's see. This elemental makes 2 slam attacks. That seems to be pretty standard. These particular slam attacks are only a 5-foot reach with a +7 to hit. That's 2d8 +4 bludgeoning damage. And if the target is medium or smaller, it has the prone condition. If it hits and does damage, it's knocking you down, knocking you on your butt. Professor, I'm streaming this on my phone on StreamYard alone. The next goal would be to set it up on my iPad and have 2 cameras. I added a link for people to join, but if they were to join, I don't even know if I'm going to hear any noise, like a little beeping or a little popping, to add people to talk. I know John does it on his computer, but I'm not sure if it's going to work on this. Yeah. I talked about the slam attack. Whelm, that's their 4 to 6 rechargeability, 50-50 chance of recharging. DC 15. If you're in the element space, on a failure, 22 points, but it could be more, 4 dice, a +4 bludgeoning. If the target is large or smaller, has a grapple condition with a DC 14 escape. Until the grapple ends, it's restrained and is suffocated unless it can breathe water, taking 9 points. That's 2 dice, of bludgeoning damage at the start of each of the elemental's turn. The elemental can grapple 1 large creature, up 2 medium and small creatures. As an action, a creature within 5 feet of the element can pull them out by DC strength 14. So that's kind of scary. The elemental comes up and just starts drowning you. So here's the. So I'm getting through it slowly but surely. Working on the pumpkin. It's kind of weird because this is actually mirrored. It's backwards on my phone. All righty. Let me adjust the book here. I usually do this on my iPad, but I just had the book. And I'm going to have to hold it a minute while I read it. The Water Weird is a servant of primeval magic. It habitates the Underdark and Urban. So this is actually something that might be summoned. It could have treasure. So it still is an elemental, but it's a little bit different. So let's talk about that. Serpentine nature spirits, water weirds, protect pools, fountains, and magical bodies of water. In the water, these creatures are indistinguishable from the liquid surrounding them. Should their aquatic territory be disturbed, they rise as animate water spouts in a vague snake or dragon-like features. Often their appearance is enough to drive off foes, but are forced to fight water weirds crush their enemies with fluid coils. So you'll find these in like fountains and dungeons. I think wizards summon them somehow. Water weirds might protect the site for generations and learn much about the surroundings. Some gain a reputation as oracles and might respond to questions posed to them in primordial. Since water weirds don't speak, they often communicate using spouts of water or objects submerged in the pools. X, the Mystic Rules of Dungeon Survival says, Rule 2, before you drink from a fountain or pool, toss a coin into it if it's a small price to pay for your life. So I guess the water weird would know if you toss the coin in. I'm going to take the first look at intelligence. Intelligence 11. That's actually pretty decent for an elemental. So it would be able to kind of understand and communicate. I can go over my monster here. I'm holding up my book, so bear with me. Water Weird is a large elemental and has a 13 armor class with a +3 initiative. Nothing to write home about. 65 hit points. That's less than the water elemental, but it could have up to 110. That's 10 dice, 10 + 10. Speed of 5, swim of 15. In a dungeon coming out of pool, it's going to have a 5 foot reach only. It looks like it only has one surge attack. So, and it can swim 60. So unless the room is filled with water, you don't have too much of a problem. Strength 17, Dex 16, Con 13, Intelligence 11, Wisdom 10, Charisma 10, Resistance to Fire. All the same immunities that the other elementals have. It does have Blind Sight, however, 30 feet, as opposed to Dark Vision. Um, has a passive perception of 10. It understands primordial but can't speak and is a CR3 creature, a little bit lower. It's invisible in water. We discussed that. It is water bound. The water weird dies if it leaves the water in which it is bound or if that water is destroyed. So your classic dungeons would have a fountain or some sort of water feature. And its only attack is Surge. It's a +5 to hit, 10-foot reach. Also, it can hit 10 feet from the fountain. 13 damage. That's 3d6 plus 3 of cold. Interesting. If the target's medium or small, it becomes grappled and restrained until the grapple ends. But you are not drowning. Not drowning. Alrighty. I put my brush down a minute and let's go to put these guys down. These guys are going to be on my Etsy soon. I just figured I would talk about them first. Getting our earth elementals out there. And if you're still on the channel, thank you for joining me tonight. It's much appreciated. I try to do a little bit each night. And we are streaming tonight for the first time on Twitch, as well as on YouTube. Looking through the monster manual, it is in alphabetical order. And not just under elementals. So, little pro tip for dungeon masters. Put the remora here. An earth elemental is a primal spirit of the soil and stone. It inhabits mountains, planular, the earth elemental of plane, and underdark. And of course, since this is a elemental, they rarely have a specific treasure on them. Doom Driver says, fun fact, Water Weirds are from ADA first edition originally. Yeah, Doom, I guess they are, right? It's one of the original monsters. And I feel like many times in those earlier editions, it's definitely a monster you would see like a lot. I played Chateau de Amberville, Great Adventure, and I know it was in that one, and they pop up. DM Evanson and I were just having a conversation how certain monsters pop up a lot in a lot of adventures, but they're rarely miniatures for them. And another good example of that would be the animated armor. That popped up a lot. Thank you for that pro tip. I appreciate it, Doom. Primal spirits from the elemental plane of Earth merge with rocks and minerals to form Earth elementals. These beings possess powerful limbs and coarse features, sometimes studded with ore, gems, and crystals, colorful striations, or even living plants. On a material plane, earth elementals often serve those who conjure them, while they appear in regions influenced by their home plane, such as crystalline nodes, energetic faults, or veins of magical ore. Ooh, that could pop up in our current campaign where we have some magical ore. The magical ore might just transform the area around it or summon these earth elementals. Earth elementals are typically made of more than dirt. While the elemental's composition doesn't change the statistics or monetary value, it makes each elemental distinct. Roll or choose on the table above. So it could be a colorful mineral formation, a cooled magma in melted heaps, grass, moss, or roots. You know, I guess the guy I'm painting, this pumpkin guy here, he's considered a golem, but he's grass and roots and stuff. So it's an earthy material. He could definitely sub in and use his stats. Heaps of peat or decaying matter, mounds of sand studded with shells, rubble or pieces of structured ruin, striking striations of bands of color, veins of iron ore. I guess you could argue that the bad guy that Spider-Man fought, the Sandman, would be an earth elemental of sorts. I'll have to ask John's Longbox about that and have a conversation about how certain D&D monsters might be found in like in comic books, that kind of transition there. Okay, let's see. What is Caleb, the prefect compass rule of Dio says the foundations of our homes, the strength of our weapons, the vaults of our greatest secrets. Earth is nothing less than the grip of reality itself, the mightiest of element. It cannot be denied. So that wizard says Earth is the best. Okay, let's go into Earth elemental statistics. And let's take a good look at one of these guys here. You can see he's made of stone. He's got some roots coming out of him. He has kind of like his back is all full of roots, binding him together. This part here almost looks like crystals. And you have some moss coming out. I think this will be pretty easy to speed paint. Looking forward to it after I get these pictures up. And again, the pumpkin golem can pass for earth elemental, but I will use him as a pumpkin because he's awesome. Earth elementals are large elementals. They have an armor class of 17 and initiative of -1. So the beefiest of the elementals we've come across so far, but also the slowest. Hit points, 147. I think we're getting up there in hit points, probably the most hit points. That's 14 dice 10 plus 70. So that can be 140 plus 70. So now we're reaching over 200 hit points available, maxed out. Putting them at a CR5. That's going to be 4 level 5 adventurers to fight one of these maxed out monsters. A speed of 30 and a burrow of 30. So this is the first one we're coming across that isn't super fast in the earth. It's just moving at 30. Most adventures should be able to outrun or outmaneuver it. It's not going to have any really surprises there, unless it has some sort of special ability. Strength of 20, highest strength we've seen so far, a +5 save. Dex and Egg 1, Con of 20, Intelligence of 5, Wisdom of 10, Charisma of 5. Not something you're going to have a great conversation with. It is vulnerable to thunder damage. All right, so thunder's going to do double damage to these guys. So monk with the thunder attack, or really a thunder wave, and any wizard thunder spells are going to be great against it. Keep that in mind. Immune to poison, exhaustion, paralyzed, petrified, poison, unconscious. So most of the standard stuff. They have dark vision 60, but giving them an upgrade, tremor sense of 60. So within the earth, or if you're touching the earth, they're going to be able to sense you. A little different than blind fighting. Blind fighting, you'll be able to see even somebody flying. But blind sight, you'll be able to see somebody flying. But with tremor sense, they actually have to be in contact with the ground in order for these guys to feel the vibrations through the floor to sense them. A passive perception of 10. They speak primordial, I guess. I guess they can talk to you. They have the trait of Earth Glide. The elemental can burrow through non-magical, unworked earth and stone. While doing so, the elemental doesn't disturb the earth it moves, and it does double damage as a siege monster, double damage to objects and structures. Okay, so let's take a step back. Non-magical, unworked earth and stone. So a dwarven dungeon or a dwarven stronghold is be considered earthworked, which means the earth elemental wouldn't be able to go through anything that was kind of forged and touched by man. I like the gist of that. It will give you a level of protection. It doesn't mean it can't walk down the hallway and just smash you, but it can't kind of just burrow through the ground. Although, if you were in a dungeon and an area was already collapsed, does that mean it could just, go through that area? There's plenty of dungeons that are kind of pre-damaged and have some collapsed areas, and that would be considered unworked. So I would send them through that way, honestly, after my players. Let's see its attack. It has a multi-attack. It makes 2 attacks with a slam or rock launch. The slam is +8 to hit, 10-foot reach, 14 average damage, bludgeoning. Rock launch is a ranged attack, +8 to hit, 60-foot range. That's going to be 8 average damage. And if it hits a larger, smaller creature, it knocks them prone. I guess it pulls the rock off its own body and just tosses it. That is pretty cool. Does it run out of ammo? I guess not. It has unlimited rock, and It might even be pulling that magically from the elemental plane of Earth. So those are our elementals. And there's a lot of other subcategories of elementals. We have an Afridi, which is like a fire genie. We have the regular Jinn, which is, an air thing. And those are all good things to add to your adventure. Um, I do have fire elementals, but I'm going to save them for another time. We have a nice painted set, painted by, I believe it was our good friend Dennis. He painted a nice demon, and he painted some fire elementals. And maybe at the time we'll go over the Freddy and just have a total fire episode. So I appreciate you guys jumping on with me tonight and staying. Doom Driver, thank you so much for joining me. And, the comments are appreciated. It gives me something to talk about and also brings back some good memories when you point out where certain creatures are from, or maybe there's a little fact I forgot or didn't know. We'll be broadcasting hopefully live on Sunday morning. I'm working on our next guest. If you haven't seen our last interview, we talked with Rogue Game Masters. That was Christopher Todd. He was awesome. We learned a lot about being a paid DM. We had previously talked about with Jay Magvano. He does on Start Play. He does the online paid DMing, while Christopher Todd does the offline paid DMing. We will be at Page in Philadelphia in January. And we will also be at Eternal Con, which is going to be Huntington Hilton, Long Island. That's going to be November 15th. It's a one-day show. Pop culture, comics, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, all that stuff. And we will be having a Dungeons and Dragons table there. I am trying to figure out something special to do at the table. I want to have a little mini dungeon one-shot thing. Another thing to give the dead professor a headache when I come up with all my harebrained ideas and I want to try different things. But I think this would be kind of a cool thing for the kids to try, where they can roll some dice and fight like one monster at the table. Maybe, well, it'll be past that time. It'll be past pumpkin season, but maybe I can have a certain monster to fight. And if they beat it, they'll get a free little mini or something. So anyway, have a great night. Thank you for joining me, Twitch viewers. Thank you for joining me, YouTube viewers. I hope you guys get to play Dungeons and Dragons. And until next, may your sword be wet and your bottom dry.